Shall we get started? Actually, we are over time, so. Yeah, all right. So, yeah, to contextualize how we got to this point, when there was the whole Fedora Flatpak drama, I just messaged Shiri and I felt like, well, we should definitely do something about this in Linux App Summit, because I felt that the division was not really constructive to find a solution for us moving forward, and I felt that a lot of the argumentation that we were providing on our app developer hats was not something that distributions are just willing to accept. I think that we just need to really work towards shaping how we are going to do that transition to the next platform we are actually building. So yeah, actually that one, the Fedora Flatpaks one, was not the first issue that app developers had with distros and platforms, right? I also think about the bottles situation as well and other apps. And that always just like a symptom of this bigger issue of how we got here in this Linux fragmentation problem. Jordan gave an amazing presentation yesterday about this, and felt that I'll be kind of repeating myself if I were to do that. But to summarize, I think that distributors always saw apps as some sort of like tools, some things that were like components of what they are building, their product. And now we actually app developers, just like Reviso that you just saw before in the previous talk, they see their work as a product. They are building something that has a presentation, that has a UI, that has graphics, and the expectation of a guaranteed experience that you are supposed to have the same looks in every OS, the same behaviors in every OS. And yeah, that's where we are currently dropping the ball. And yeah, one other thing that I actually wanted to add with this, because since I started with the Fedora Flatpaks, was that the moment that the whole drama started and somebody mentioned to me that it was like very influential videos being spoken about that, and I just Googled on YouTube, searched on YouTube for Fedora Flatpaks, and I found myself in there. I gave a talk in 2017 about Fedora Flatpaks in Budapest, in Flock, and then I was like, oh fuck, I am actually associated with this thing now. And probably co-responsible for this thing, right? And so I felt also that this is actually a good opportunity to kind of give a take, which is that we started Fedora Flatpaks at Red Hat, and Red Hat is really like a company that respects the initiative of the associates. I think that a lot of people are free to do a lot of things that they want to do that don't necessarily align with the top level business goals. But just as to say that when we started Fedora Flatpaks, our goal was to bring Flatpaks into Fedora, finally into the RHEL ecosystem, not just because, but also because Flatpaks would solve a lot of our own issues as maintainers, because we are maintaining multiple versions of apps in multiple versions of distributions. So if you work at Red Hat, you are maintaining packages for Fedora, for CentOS Stream, for RHEL, multiple versions of each one of those supported ones. That can become a combinatory explosion, right? So the goal was basically bringing Flatpak and trying to solve this historical divide that our customers and users have, which is we want a stable OS platform, slowly moving, stable, reliable, and modern fancy apps with features, and we want those now. You can get that experience when you try RHEL 9 and you feel like things are kind of frozen in the past, and it'll be very nice to actually have that shell, and then on top of it, just have the modern apps rather than having to rely on what's available on that time. Like Jordan was actually giving in his presentation examples of like things that are 5, 6, 7 years behind, and you just don't have an easy path to get to that point. And with the Fedora Flatpaks, I think that what we failed was to actually set the governance of the project. That I feel that what happened there was that our common goal was getting Flatpaks into Fedora, and then suddenly we just kind of lost control of the thing. People moving to working on other things. Aleix was no longer working on Flatpak, and I think that we dropped the ball there by not setting proper governance and not setting proper goals, because as I said, the goals was really about having the basic pre-install core things in Fedora. It was not really like trying to reproduce the whole package, everything. But I kind of realized that we never said that out loud. I think it was something that was like a consensus that we had or a common understanding, but it wasn't out there. And to link with what I said about Red Hat giving us the freedom, I think that the Fedora Flatpak maintainer is actually pretty free to do what he wants to do. if he feels that he wants to package everything, if other people feel like they need to package everything, they are free to do, but the distributions are also free not to include that. So recently, Fedora Workstation Working Group has been discussing the possibility of not including Fedora Flatpaks or not, and that's how the drama has been extending. And yeah, I think that these are things that we, people who have these multiple hats, that work on distros but also write apps, are very well positioned to articulate that we might be able to go to those spaces and voice the desires of the app community. But for that, I think we need to like formulate what does the app community really want from distributors, and I think have something that looks approachable to them, that is not going to come across as confrontational or divisive, but constructive. So my idea about bringing these celebrities in here is actually like hearing from these folks what is the problem and how we could go about this problem moving forward in a way that actually is constructive, not divisive. So yeah, and I actually want to talk about this at Flock, the Fedora conference. So I'm trying to bring what we learn and discussing here and trying to represent somehow what we want in their conference. So yeah, if we want to start, I think Jordan gave a great presentation about it, and he could maybe describe how we got to this mess, right? Why things are so bad.
So yeah, I spoke about this at length in the presentation yesterday. The quick summary of it is like, we have this divide between the people that make the platform and the people that distribute it. And that the current way that things work is that the distribution will try to package everything and ship everything itself to the users. But now we have Flathub, and the users prefer clearly their applications to get them from the Flathub, and not only users but developers as well, as we've seen in like massive droves where application developers never got involved with distributions for a variety of reasons that we have like documented for years now. But yeah, the one thing I wanted to talk about with regards to the Fedora Flatpaks is like, people say Fedora Flatpaks, but Flatpak has like very little to do with what happened. Because as I said yesterday, Flatpak is like a technology. As itself, if we take Flatpak itself and like, if we convert every single application in every distribution to Flatpak, we will still be in the same exact position, but with a better technological stack that's like a bit more robust. If the Fedora Flatpaks are a fine idea, because it solves a lot of problems that and fragility that exists in the current distribution mechanism. But like the Flatpak itself has little to do. The problem that I guess the problem that sparked this whole discussion was that much like any distribution package that is not maintained by the upstream, eventually an application that was high level enough broke down. And it was suggested to install the broken application over the application that the developers themselves had been publishing and submitting. Regardless if it's Flatpak or an RPM, the same thing would have happened. Like, the issue there was not so much the technology that was used, but more so where it was coming from and who was like distributing the thing, and who was claiming to support it, and who actually had to like go and debug and fix the issues, or like threaten with legal action since the issues were not going to be like were not getting resolved and it was affecting the users. So yeah, that's like the main thing I want to focus on is like not so much the technology itself or like, but the social issues at play.
I actually know that Sebastian might have an opinion about the whole idea of pre-installed Fedora Flatpaks and stuff. Do you want to say something about how you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, the Fedora Flatpak situation, like the existence of them comes from a like valid use case, right? Like we want to be able to like pre-install Flatpaks basically. That means when you get your distribution, like some of the applications, they are not coming from the RPMs or the depths or whatever, but they are Flatpak applications and they're coming on your install media, and like the Flatpak applications will get installed. And that's a good idea. Like, I think we all agree on that. That is like the common understanding of everything, right? like the Fedora guys agree on that, we agree on that, like we should probably pre-install Flatpaks. And from that perspective, it's very clear. Like I think that it's good that we have like a common understanding at least of some of the parts here. But then like for pre-installing things, like the question is then like if you only want to ship things for pre-installing, then the things that you're pre-installing are usually just a small subset of things that you want to ship with the operating system, right? Like it's just a few selected applications that you need. And for everything else, you basically don't want that. Like you don't necessarily want the things then from Flatpak, from Fedora, but you want them from Flathub. At least that's what most users want. And also what most app developers probably want, like they want their applications to come directly from them. So the only people who don't seem to entirely agree on that seem to be like the distribution folks. And now we're in the situation where because of the idea that pre-installing Flatpaks is like something good, what happened then is that like now the Fedora Flatpaks are in general like preferred over the Flathub ones. So whenever like a user installs an application through the App Store, the Fedora Flatpaks are preferred. And I think that is the big issue here. Just the existence of like the Fedora Flatpaks itself is also probably not an issue. I think you mentioned basically that like people are free to do whatever they want, and I agree with that. And even as Fedora, like they can decide to like include the like to accept the work. Like I don't even think that's a bad idea. The question really is like what you want to have as the default. Like yeah.
So yeah, basically to summarize what happened is that Fedora Flatpaks were, I mean, when the project was started, from my understanding, it was to address technological issues in order to like make it easier to distribute the applications on the distribution side. However, the scope of it was like not explicitly defined. So the logical conclusion that other distribution contributors came to was like, oh, this is, we already package RPM applications. This is a better way to package applications. We're just going to keep packaging every application we have already and replace all our RPMs with that. Which, I mean, it's, yeah, when you are in a, when the mindset is, and your community is like around the distribution, it's like a very logical thing to do. But at the same time, Flathub happened, and the options that you had available changed, and the dynamic has shifted. That's, I think, a good summary of what you want, yes.
I was wondering if Aleix has any take from the KDE side, like if you folks experience the same dramas about people taming your apps, people like distros doing distro things?
Yeah, to be honest, to me it sounds 100% distros doing distro things. Like when I first heard that Fedora wanted to make Flatpaks, I thought something like that would happen. Like it had to happen in a way or another. Like how often does it happen that like you try to reuse a technology and like what could go wrong, and something got wrong. Like it wasn't that bad, I guess, but like we had this whole flag for it, and we don't know like if the public perception is that Flatpak is at fault or whoever is. But in practice here, like it's about ownership, right? And like if specifically in the distro case, if a distro makes you look like a hero, that's perfectly fine. If a distro makes you look like a butt, then you get angry. And when you get angry, you get angry. So I guess that's kind of what happened. The technological shift that we have here is not Flatpak in practice. It's empowering developers. And I think that this is what we should be focusing on.
Yeah, that's some good points. And so moving forward, I was wondering, like, do you folks have any like steps you think we could take to try to like pitch to distributors how we could be working together moving forward? Like anything you want to say?
Yeah, I think like in the whole debate there, there were actually like technical issues raised, and I think we should take them seriously. Like that's one of the parts that we should actually do. But I think you also made the point like that in your presentation that that the technical issues are not the core of it.
They're not blockages.
Right, like the technical issues exist, but you could still make it work probably. Like that is, I think, from our perspective, like the thing is that we should still try to solve the technical issues that we have, and solving technical issues always requires like people actually working on it. So from that perspective, I think like what we have to figure out is how we get more resources into Flathub, because we want to, like, it would be good if we build our flatpaks for more architectures. It would be good if we manage to like tag everything better so that like distributors can say we want a filtered version of Flathub that works for us. Like there are a bunch of things we could do and should do, but I think the important part is how to figure out where the resources are coming from, and probably also how to like integrate and get the distributors to contribute to Flathub. I think that would be like the best goal, in my opinion, is to kind of move the distributions over to like also contribute to Flathub.
On this?
Sure.
Yeah, I quite agree. Like collaboration is the key, and I have this friend called Harald, who is one of the main developers of KDE Linux, and I always joke with him saying, "You're not a developer, you're a packager," and he gets angry because it's this kind of banter, right? And what I mean by that is that like we don't need to label ourselves in like being part of like this level of the stack or that other, but I think that when we shine is when we work together, and that's what we should be focusing on. And like it never makes sense to have two versions of the same product in practice, so making sure that we focus on, well, as much as possible, that's better. A case that when you were discussing this came to my mind earlier was the case of Iceweasel and Firefox. It was effectively the same thing, right? And Flatpak or any of these technologies not related. I'm not really privy of the details, but it was as well, as far as I understand, Firefox not being happy about certain things that were being done in the packaging, and they said, "No, you stop using my brand." And well, everything happened, and it was a loss for everyone, right? When we focus, we at least don't get into these situations where, well, part of the community loses because, like, we're few people too, right? So we cannot really afford to be dividing ourselves.
Good point. Yeah, with that said, I wonder what do we answer to distros when they say that we are like taking yet another factor of differentiation that they have, that the packages that they include, the apps that they support are sort of part of their product?
I think that the key is stopping saying they, right? Like, it's us, it's our products, we're here together. If we cannot work together, we're not gonna be pulling that off, right? Like, we keep mirroring ourselves against these like big products created in like humongous but still solid companies, right? So like distros and us, we are the same communities. Like I was saying, we're taking maybe different parts of the stack. And like one thing that has been a problem with this whole collaboration has been that like the technical terms in where people are working on are vastly different. Something I've always, or I used to complain when there was more of this divide on packaging is that like I didn't understand the format that the packages for my applications were using to create the packages for my application. Like, how is it that I don't understand how they're running that thing that I run like 100 times a day on my laptop when I'm developing it? Smoothing that out is the kind of things that we should be looking into, because in practice, we should all be using the same tools to reach our users, right? then we can collaborate.
Well said. You want to say anything about the differentiation of distros? Or?
Yeah, I mean, making an operating system is an incredibly hard task, and there's like so many things to do. What is this different in every single situation, however, is trying to get an application that you've never been involved with, figure out how it works, why it works, what it needs, and try to like ship it for every single distribution. Where like you can still, there is like plenty of room for operating system development. There isn't really so much different things you can do in order to rebuild an application. There are only like so many features you can remove or add from the existing application that like exist in the source code. Like if an application differs from one distribution to another, it's because A, they forgot about a feature that the application really needs and wants, or B, they explicitly didn't want it. That's all there is. Everything else about the application should be functionally exactly the same. And yeah, I mean, at this point, there is like no need to keep redoing the same amount of work for no reason, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is that like, as soon as someone starts like packaging applications which also exist on Flathub, they are competing with Flathub in the sense that like, if they manage to do everything that Flathub does, then it would be like, then it would be as good as they would succeed in competing with Flathub, but usually they don't have the same resources, so therefore they will stay either in a worse spot than Flathub, or they will at some point overtake it, and then we would have that as the single point instead of Flathub, which is to me like a bit like it doesn't make a lot of sense. It would be a lot of wasted resources and not a lot of gain, when the alternative is simply to like to not compete, but instead like to collaborate and like improve Flathub. So from that perspective, I just don't see why people would be trying to like be better than Flathub with all the resources that there already are put into Flathub. And yeah, I think that is kind of my kind of issue with like what's happening in the Fedora world currently, that like the only way to succeed there and to become better than Flathub would be to basically displace it.
I mean, I think there's like a component to this that's like a community issue as well. It's like the reason that the distribution contributors will go and repackage an application is, even if it exists, it's like a lot of the times for the fun of it, A. B, because you will be using the tooling and the infrastructure they're already familiar with, rather than a brand new thing that they never looked at, which would be like the Flathub toolchain or whatever. And C, it's like, just like for the belonging of it. You're like, people are already like part of the distribution communities, and they have like a very specific skill set that they would rather just like go and repackage the application rather than naturally migrate over to the new to other communities, or like new ways of collaborating with other communities, and like passing the torch and such. Like the belonging part of it is like very understandable, because we are all part of of different communities. So this conference is like proof of that. And yeah, it's like we need to keep that in mind, because yeah, a lot of it happens because people want to like, help their friends or the other people they're familiar with in a lot of ways. So yeah, we need to like figure out a way to reach out to these people and I guess help them in their own ways.
Yeah, I feel we are in the same page about a lot of things, so actually it would be nice to hear from the audience if somebody wants to comment, especially if you have an opinion that might not be aligned with ours. I think all opinions are welcome for sure, but I think that since we are all in the same page, it would be interesting to actually see diverging opinions or just slightly different, right? Like, anybody has anything you want to say?
So while people think about what questions they have, I was thinking about something you were saying, and like that resonated to me. Like you were talking about how maybe Fedora considers that their current way of packaging is superior, and maybe like it's part of this dogma / mourning that like the packaging community is going through, in where like they had a lot of power in certain aspects, and well, we're seeing that this power is being shifted, and we need to see and have that conversation on how to make sure that everybody is still included. And I'm not sure that we're there yet, but it's definitely part of the corridor kind of conversation that we're having in most conferences where you have, well, people from both sides, right? So
okay, I have a question. So the people here have the knowledge. So when you have these Fedora flatpaks or any other distro-specific flatpaks, do they also have a lot of the distro patches that the original, like the RPM and deb packages had? Oh, second part coming.
I understand. Do you know?
So do people, like, I don't know if the Fedora flatpaks have distro patches in them. I would want to know. Do people know here?
So yeah, basically the idea of the distribution-specific flatpaks is that they're built from the exactly same toolchain and tooling that the normal distribution packages are. So using the same sources, same tooling, same thing, just the final output is like distributed in a different way. Instead of like shipping an RPM over to the user, we will ship like an OCI image that the Flatpak knows how to like install. That's basically the only difference. They're using the exact same technologies and tooling and sources and patches, yes.
So the reason I asked is that I am the package maintainer of my own project in Debian, and the only reason why I am that person, or I chose to be that person, is that this is the only way to prevent distro patches from appearing. And this is really, really annoying from a developer perspective, is that like, you cannot tell what's going to happen because people will just patch things out even rather than sending them upstream.
Exactly, and there's like other projects. For example, systemd in Debian has like a no downstream patches policies, which also had caused a recent drama as well, where one of the systemd developers that's also like the packager for Debian, exactly for the same reasons, got into conflict with other maintainers and like burned out, and it was like very, very sad to see. Yeah. Yeah,
downstream packages in Fedora, they would definitely end up in the Fedora Flatpak. So yeah, I think that this change is also something that would avoid distros having a clear path to overwriting apps, because I just think that the conclusion is that that's not wanted, right? That apps should not be overwritten by distributors. And if that's the case, it's a very specific case, then we might find a technology, a way to plumb that up. But making that the default, like overwrite by default, to do your own thing by default, I think that we're just creating the wrong incentives here.
So, I mean, from OpenSUSE, I know that I would say that Flatpaks being built in OBS was something discussed, but you know, we really hadn't gone down that path. And when you look at the resources that we have for, we'll say, example, our Leap distribution, Tumbleweed's a different story, but you know, there's just not the resources there. There really isn't. And so there is an alternative. There's the C rather than the A and the B that he mentioned. But I mean, this is the environment we're in. So, yeah, I just wanted to point those out.
I mean, Red Hat also now is trying to ship Flatpaks in RHEL 10, which means that we also are pretty much doing exactly what Fedora is currently doing. But the difference there is obviously that in RHEL we will not ship like all the applications as Flatpaks. Like it's only going to be the ones we actually can support, right? And I think that comes exactly down to what you mentioned here, in the sense that like we can only support so many things, and we have to be selective about what that is.
Yeah, and definitely like the overall easy solution to lack of resources is collaboration, right? Like finding paths for collaboration, right? Not just on the packaging. I think there are other branches of conversations that distros could be collaborating more. I think that, for instance, open QA testing that you guys are in the forefront, I think it's something that we could be doing all together, for example, right? Because we're kind of testing the same UI, right? Or they're true UIs, GNOME and KDE, but in that sense. Anybody else?
Hello. I had a question. So my question is, I think these distros might want to control the packages shipped on their specific distribution, also for security updates and things like that. So I would imagine that if each Flatpak is a mini distro in itself, then if we have a security bug on a widely used package, I'm wondering how we could solve this problem with the Flatpak, way of shipping things. So in Debian, you would ship an update for, let's say, libc or any of these widely used packages, and all the other packages would use it by default. On Flatpak, I don't know if there would be a way to achieve the same way.
You want to respond to this one? Or
Sure.
runtimes?
So yeah, basically, well, let me go up here so there is no echo. So basically, the way we solve this for Flatpak is that a lot of the very common and very high-profile security dependencies we need, we put them in a common image that it's shared across all of the applications, and it's updated independently of the application. However, we have like very good guarantees regarding the API of the image and how well it's updated, how it behaves, how it's defined in general. So we keep updating glibc or like OpenSSL and all of those dependencies in the single place, a single runtime, and every application runs against the updated image, because we've defined that the API between the application and the runtime will be stable. So it's like a lot like a Docker-based image, I guess, but you don't need to keep rebuilding the container, because we assume that the API will be stable and the artifacts will work with each other.
Also to add on that, like distributions are not magic. Like they also just have to track, security vulnerabilities in all the components and then apply patches, right? Like you can do the same with Flatpak. Like for example, on Flathub, like all the dependencies are in some kind of like in a format that is machine readable. Like we in theory know where the sources are coming from and could match that up with like security issues. Like people have also had this issue for a long time in containers, right? Like same issue. Like there are tools to figure out like what components are in there and when there are security issues. So I don't think it's much of a question of like can Flathub like do that better or worse than like distributions. It's just a question of like actually making sure that we implement this stuff and like properly do it. Like it's the same process that you would have at a distribution basically. The difference would be that instead of doing it like multiple times for every distro, you would do it once and for Flathub.
And also in the conversation between packages and pre-installed flatpaks, that flatpaks have inherently more security because of the sandbox, and as apps evolve and we evolve the portals and the app ecosystem, we are going to improve that even more, right? Apps are going to have more constrained ways of interacting with the system, so less surface of security issues.
I think you raise a valid concern, in my opinion. I am the maintainer, one of the maintainers of FreeDesktop SDK, which is the base distro that all the Flatpaks are based on, and the GNOME runtime, the KDE runtime. I think that the problem here, or the fact, is that distros have the money to pay developers to patch things when things happen and detect CVEs and everything. Security teams and all that, which is normally a boring stuff that people doesn't do voluntarily. So in our project, we're a tiny team that is 100 volunteer people. So I think we do quite a good job in the sense that we are so small, but we automate a lot of things. We have CV checks, so we have reports about what components are being affected by CVEs and all that. But sometimes for a period, there is a report, but nothing happened because we don't have the manpower to fix the report. But the list is small, but I think this is a valid concern here, and probably is one of the reasons why the distros needs to do this, their own runtimes as well.
Yeah, I think that's quite a good point. Like, you're doing a good job there. But this is talking about like the runtime itself, right? Like the applications themselves can ship with like additional dependencies, and I don't think we have a good story there currently. Like, that is indeed like a kind of a blind spot. But I think that the point here is that we could like use the knowledge and like the processes that like distributions have to like improve the story on Flathub. Like, that would be amazing. Like, I want that to happen, and it would effectively share the load on that, because instead of like doing it for every applications, like all the distros doing it themselves for all the applications, they would like share the load and only do it once. Like, I think that would be better. And it would also only be for the dependencies which are in like additionally on top of the runtimes.
Something I'm a bit surprised though is that you're all talking about the CVEs addressing as if it was an actual patch, but at least for us, when there's a CVE, obviously you're going to release a patch, but you're also going to release a new version with of your application or whatever is your component with the new with the problem fixed, right? Like, otherwise you will still be shipping an error, which is the last thing you want to do as a component. And we do have that addressed to a good extent in Flathub by like the bot that checks the new versions, and it's going to tell you there's a new version of this component that you have here. It will try to compile it, and obviously you need to be diligent enough to like make sure that it's always fresh, and that should be it. So like, if we do things properly, and we could enforce these kind of things, right? Like, we could say now we don't accept applications that don't have the bot injected, or we don't want to have it for the golden application kind of things, whatever we call it. But like, there's ways, and I don't think that the solution is having people patching the different components, because the patch is by definition a workaround. That's why we call it the patch and not a solution.
Yeah, I was going to say, I very badly maintain an app on Flathub, but I'm pretty sure I've like maybe had some kind of automated thing tell me that my dependencies were outdated. Am I misremembering this? Like, there's something for this already, right?
So I don't know exactly, but I think like, I don't think it's tracking like exactly if there are CVEs in there, but maybe just if their version is outdated. But I don't want to like commit here on anything, because I simply don't know.
So yeah, in Flathub at the moment we have like a couple of automations. One of it would like check if there is like new versions of your dependencies, and will make a pull request for you. But we do not update things automatically, because every build needs to be tested before we publish it to users, because an update might very easily break something. But yeah, we have like some tooling to help with updating dependencies. We do not yet have a security scanner. If anybody would like to help with implementing some kind of tooling that would go over applications, check for like any CVs and automatically create issues for that. It would be amazing. We have that for runtimes, not for applications yet, but it's like something that's on the roadmap, but there's like, we need the resources in order to do that in an automated fashion. Otherwise, it's like, for the most part, the application developers that have to do it, which makes it a bit harder for them, but it's like nothing, it's like, yeah, it's better than the alternatives anyway, so yeah.
As we are approaching like the end of the talk, I think one thing I think is worth emphasizing is that we're not going to find technical solutions to social problems, right? That's not how software works, right? That we need to combine the technical expertise and the changes we're going to do with proper communication, relationship with those folks, and making it approachable and constructive. So I think that that's like side by side, it needs to happen. Does anybody want to say final words or things like this? I think we are on the top of the hour. Yeah, I'm pretty happy about how this went, and I'm happy that everybody showed up here. So thanks for coming, and enjoy the lunch.